In Los Olivos proper, we have, which is about 5 miles into town, Wine Country Inn. We have the Epiphany tasting room there as well. And then in Santa Barbara, we have Third Window Brewing. All of these businesses sort of work in concert together. They're all fully sustainable. And it's a big part of what makes everything work, why everybody has sort of their place, whether it's at the inn or it's working with the tasting rooms, in production, with the brewery. Everybody has a piece of the action. So it's pretty exciting and fun. The picture in front of you now is, aside from patting ourselves on the back for lots of great accolades, this is Blair Fox, who is our winemaker. And Blair has been with us since 2002. So a little bit of background about the winery. We are in, obviously, Santa Barbara County. We're in a small area, you see right up here in Santa Ynez, in a town called Los Olivos. It's a truly unique part of California. So hopefully you're seeing the Santa Barbara map here. And this is really showing the uniqueness of the area. So it's the only place in the Northern Hemisphere that has these east-west traversing mountain ranges. So over time, as those tectonic plates shifted in the southern part of California, they made a complete turn 90 degrees. So opening up these valleys into the Pacific Ocean. So as you have that cold Arctic current coming from north to south and the warm Humboldt current from south to north, they converge right here off the coast in an area that's called the California Current. And it keeps the water temperature about 45 degrees, 50 degrees year round. So what that means for us is this cold, cold air coming in. So in Santa Rita Hills here, where the Chardonnay that we're going to taste, and then in Santa Ynez, where the other two wines, the Roussanne and the Syrah, it allows for these big diurnal temperature shifts. So average temperature for Santa Rita Hills is about 60 degrees year round, and then in Santa Ynez about 70 degrees. So what it means is longer hang time, more physiologic phenolic ripeness. So you have these big mature aromatics in the wine, but without sacrificing structure. The other part that's quite unique, obviously this unique topography, really unique climate, is some of the most unique soil in the world. It's the largest deposits of diatomaceous earth in the country. So here it's just this compressed sea exoskeletons, ancient diatoms compressed in sand over millennia that add this incredible minerality and structure to the wines. And I think you'll taste it in the Roussanne. You'll definitely taste it in the Chardonnay as well. It's these are all silica-based diatoms, so they really work in many ways. They are sort of a natural pest repellent because as pests cross it, they have sharp edges, so they can't live through it. It's very reflective. You can see it's this beautiful white, sandy feel to it. It's almost chalky in its feel, so it's got wonderful reflective quality and incredible drainage. So for us, it really allows this wonderful ability to produce these great wines. And then a very quick bit about our sustainability. So the vineyards that you're tasting from tonight, Rodneys Vineyard, which is our home ranch, and that's where the Syrah is coming from. Camp 4, which is where the Roussanne is coming from, and Ashley's Vineyard in Santa Rita Hills, where the Chardonnay is coming from. So all of these are going through a certification process. Our home ranch, Rodneys, is SIP certified. Camp 4 is in the process of approval, and Ashley's, same thing. So SIP certification, I'm just popping this up here so that you can see where it sort of sits when we talk about biodynamics or organics. This is really about the whole process. It's not just the wine and the winemaking. It's packaging, it's air quality, it's how you handle water, it's your business practices, it's social responsibility. So for us, it's really about stewardship, not only to the land and the community, but certainly to the next generation coming up in the property. So let's get down to business here and taste some wine. So you guys, I know you have some Roussanne in your glass. So I'm going to hopefully not make anybody
yes, we do.
Flying through here. So if you can see this, hopefully you're back on the map here. Right down here, this is the Camp 4 Ranch. And this was a property that Fess bought in 1999, and he and his son Eli planted the grapes there, about 250 acres. It's a 1,400 acre ranch right in the middle of the Chumash Valley, right by Lake Cachuma. So it's actually quite warm. It's a completely different microclimate than what I spoke about here in the northern part of Santa Ynez or in Santa Rita Hills for that matter. It has a little bit more river soil and more alluvial mix of river stone and sand. So it really helps to mimic that kind of Rhone valley. And certainly Roussanne originates from the Rhone. It is a grape that you'll find in the Southern Rhone, especially like Châteauneuf du Pape Blanc. It's one of those sort of revered grapes. So here this is grown all from the Camp 4 ranch property. So the grapes were planted in 1999. In 2010, the property was actually sold back to the Chumash Indians. That's a whole other story in and of itself. However, we still have vineyard rights to what was planted there. And so as up until 2023, we've actually replanted a lot of the Roussanne on our home ranch. But what you're drinking today is coming strictly from a single vineyard in Camp 4. So to me, this wine is it's so incredibly unique. And Roussanne as a varietal in and of itself is, I think a lot of times we think of white wines that you produce them and you drink them right away because they need to be drank young. But this is a wine that really you can really appreciate it. It starts to really show all of its true character after a little bit of time in bottle age or barrel age for that matter. So here, this wine is done, it's barrel aged, all in French. They're 500-liter puncheons or butts. So they're a larger barrel. Some are seasoned. About 60% of this is new oak. But I think as you taste it, it's not the star of the show. It's quite seamless. So it starts out to me with this sort of beautiful honeysuckle and graham cracker and a little bit of unripe peach stone fruit. It's got a beautiful white floral character, mid palate. It's rich, but without being flabby or over the top. The wine really holds its structure. It's got wonderful acidity. And as it ages, you start to get a little bit more of that leesy round character. And some of the larger aromatics soften up a little bit. So the perfect wine, certainly for seafood, if you're having lobster or any of the richer seafoods, but pate, chicken, anything with a cream sauce. It's a beautiful wine to pair with food. What do you guys think?
Sorry, Liz, I just have to say, I find your description to be, of course, totally apropos. And tasting it right here, the acidity is amazing for 2016. It is still so on point. And so it just lifts this very rich wine that kind of gets you at the front to this brightness in the back. And it's just as lively as it can be.
Yeah, we actually have a Roussanne from the Rhone in the wine club right now that's more mineral driven, but this is just so smooth and it's a beautiful.
I find them as they age a little bit, they round out and they become, the acid really holds the structure together. So rather than being these big, rich, very, very aromatic, those aromatics calm down a little bit and they become much, much more complex. I find a little bit of ginger character here, along with the graham cracker notes. I love this wine. I think it just shows beautifully. And what I think is particularly interesting is this is not a wine that we sell anywhere else. It is a wine club, winery only product. So the fact that we're able to do this tonight is quite unique, and I love it. And somebody mentioned Julia earlier, who I adore. She happened to make the trip out with her husband to visit the winery, and she tasted it and asked if she could bring some in. And I was like, well, of course you can. So
girl.
from Los Olivos.
And you are benefiting tonight from this. There's not a lot of quantity on this. I think we're at like 24 bottles. So definitely, if you like the Roussanne or want to have a different wine in your portfolio to try and drink this spring and summer, you can head over to Loaded Grape right now and put it in your cart. Again, this is very limited. We have several of these tonight that are going to be very limited in quantity. So I got 24 bottles. That's it. So and I don't think at this great price, 25 down to 23 plus your club discounts. So for some of you, you're going to be getting it under $20. Yeah, you don't miss this opportunity. So
And so as we go through, and we'll switch up here shortly. I'm hopefully not making anybody too terribly dizzy here, but it's kind of fun. There we go. So just so you can see, this gives you a little bit of information about it. And these are things that you can find on our website as well at fessparker.com. You'll see where Epiphany is part of our portfolio. But you can see our total production here is 245 cases. So when he's telling you that there is very little, there is very little. This is not a wine that we make a great deal of. it's rare that you get it outside of the winery. So I think it's a real treat that you guys have the opportunity to have it. So we are going to move along here to, I'm making everybody dizzy for sure now, Ashley's Chardonnay.
Ashley's Chardonnay.
So if you guys are having this, I wanted to put this picture up. So to me, you know, everybody makes wonderful wines. I think, you know, in general, I don't think you guys are showing anything here that's not going to be appreciable. And Chardonnay is one of those grapes that I find people say, oh, you know what, I don't like Chardonnay. And I always think to myself, well, have you tried them all? Because they really, you know, Chardonnay they run the spectrum, and you just haven't had the right one. And what I love about Ashley's to me is it's one of those wines that it's a head turner. When people try it, they're just astounded at the style, at the quality, and the elegance that comes from this wine. So the vineyard site here, Ashley's, is part of the Santa Rita Hills. And we're going to move along here to, this is the Santa Rita Hills. So this is Ashley's Vineyard right here. And this is the plant map. So the Chardonnay is coming from these 4 lots, these plots right here. So very, very small. All of this right here is just under, it's about 28 acres. So very, very small area. And this is the Ashley's Vineyard. So this is actually one of the Pinot Noir vineyards looking down. And then the Chardonnay is these are the 4 lots all the way across. So they're set on the flat area. And if you look closely, you can see this is all, the soil is like sand. When you're standing out here, one of the interesting measures of climate in this area is when you're in Los Olivos, when you're at our home ranch, for every mile west that you head, you lose about 1 degree to 1.5 degrees of temperature. So if you are in Los Olivos in the middle of summer and it's 90 degrees and you drive out to Ashley's Vineyard, which is about 25, 30 miles, you're going to be at about 50 degrees. So I always tell people, when you come to visit us, make sure you got a coat, because it might be warm in Los Olivos, but it's going to be chilly when you hit the vineyard sites here. So Ashley's, everything that we produce, I'm going to this is most of our production here, but everything that we produce is harvested by hand. All the whites are done whole cluster in barrel, in bladder, and the reds are a blend of whole berry and whole cluster. And you can kind of see here as the reds come in, the clusters come in, they're go through a cluster triage here where we do some whole cluster fermentation. The rest is whole berry. It's going into destemmer, and then here's the shake table so that you can actually see the berries coming in, and then the pressing going right into barrel. All of our reds are done in punch cap, so very labor intensive, but it certainly, it shows through in the quality. So here's our Ashley's Chardonnay. It's 100% Chardonnay located in the Santa Rita Hills. To me, the initial aromatics of this wine, it has the perception of it's going to be huge. It is all done in barrel. It's about 9 months. We do very little batonnage here. It goes through a little bit of autolysis, so you get that sort of conversion, but very little malolactic. So what happens naturally is maybe about 20%. The rest is quite clean. So you have this sort of lemon, lime zest, almost a limeade note up front. And then when you take a sip, it's crisp, it's clean, and there's almost a salinic quality mid-palate. And as the wine opens up, to me, there's just this lovely sort of ginger and saffron and a cashew note on the very back end of it. But certainly this is a citrus and hints of sea spray on the back end. What do you guys think?
Well, first of all, you always describe everything just spot on, and it really is amazing. And I'm in the business, and yet I fall for it because it just really is spot on. And I always find this wine to be so delicious, and I hate to be trite about it, but if you love Chardonnay, you will love this. If you don't love Chardonnay, you will love it. It kind of runs that line that, and I think it's because of the acidity and because of the brightness that you get from it, and because it's not heavy and malolactic, you don't get that weight in it, and so it's bright and delicious. But yeah, the nose says this is going to be big, and then all of a sudden this sunshine just kind of livens up your palate.
It's a beautiful Chardonnay, and I think what I like about it is it has the oak, but it's not over oak. It's not that big punch of oak.
Correct.
You kind of get it. You actually get it late. The fruit shines through so much on the front that the oak comes in just at the end and goes, oh, there's oak.
Yep.
There's oak.
Yeah. And the interesting part of that for me, this is a wine that, and I definitely drink this at home. I drink a lot of things at home. It's just the way things are right now. I really enjoy this. I like to decant it. I find that I like it a little bit warmer. I want it to hit closer to that 58 to 60 degrees. And let's face it, most of our refrigerators sit around 38 degrees. So everything is really, really cold coming out of it. So if you give the wine an opportunity to really open up and come to room temperature, it just blossoms. It's that beautiful orchard fruit up front, but then you get really bright citrus and that, as I said, that sort of ocean spray and that sort of salinic mineral. And on the end, exactly as you said, that there's oak there, but it's not the star of the show. It sort of carries the wine from beginning to middle to end. And so there's a roundness and a richness and quality here. I love this wine. And again, production-wise, as you can see, it's not huge production, 2,000 cases. It's a wine, again, year after year after year, it sees great critical acclaim. So we're pretty proud of this wine. And certainly the vineyard, its namesake, Ashley, is named after Ashley Parker. So with March being the Women in Wine, this is a female winery owner. So we definitely, it's a time to really pay homage to that women in history and women in wine. So another great reason. Thank you for having us on here. It's
yes.
Me that chance to go ahead and tout it.
Yes, and we have a nice little price on this, and again, only 24 bottles available. It's gonna be a theme throughout tonight because again, this stuff doesn't leave the winery. So 34 down to 32 plus your club discounts. Take advantage. Chardonnay lover or needing a nice Chardonnay that's kind of meets the middle, right? I think this is such a crowd pleaser for a Chardonnay drinker because I think there's because there's so many ways to enjoy Chardonnay, oak, unoak, mallow, no mallow, creamy, buttery, oaky. Like there's just too many descriptors when it comes to Chardonnay that this one kind of just is right. It's like the perfect. Bring it to the party. Everybody's going to enjoy it.
And I'm sorry, but I'm totally vain about the whole thing. This will impress your friends.
And that too.
Yeah, it's the beauty of it is it's not going to break your bank to get, and you guys are offering an incredible price for this, but it does offer that elegance, and it really, I agree, it's a crowd pleasing style that really shows you the elegance of the grape and what it has to offer without being, this flashy, big, buttery, oaky, viscous monster. It's elegant, it's smooth, it's a beautiful food pairing wine.
And I think people see California Chardonnay and that's where they automatically go.
Correct.
That's not this. And so thinking in your head, watch, it's not. This is a whole new thing. And it is, if you're drinking on that, you're going to be like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yep. I want a case. It's just how good it is.
Fantastic. So
these are the only whites we're doing tonight. These are it. This is the only whites we're doing tonight. Are these two? So if you're looking to start adding some whites into the cellar, or because you're like, wow, I've been so red heavy, and
get your white wine game on.
Get your white wine game on, and start with something that you're probably not going to get unless you go all the way out to Santa Barbara and County and visit Fess Parker. So and even then,
feel free to come visit us. We'd love to have visitors.
Please go out there and visit them, but then you have to pay for shipping to get it all the way here and everything.
Right.
This is tonight is an opportunity to take it not only and get a club discount, but just at a great price and just without the shipping. Yeah. So take that out of the equation. So
exactly,
we've already done that.
It's too easy. We got
it here for you.
Yeah.
So our last wine, last but certainly not least, is our Rodneys Vineyard Syrah, and again, this is. It's a wonderful wine. It's a wine that we, again, don't generally, it goes to wine club only. It's a small production. So coming from our home ranch, and this is here, so just to give you an idea, again, it's another plant map, but this is Fox and Canyon Road. So this is where we're located. And as you pull in that picture of the winery that I showed you, that would be right here. This is our Riesling vineyards. These are the original plantings. And this is Chardonnay. This is grafted over onto Syrah rootstock that was done about 20 years ago. And then from here, this little road going all the way up to the upper mesa brings us up 1,000 feet. So it's this natural mesa. And again, it's this incredible topographical anomaly. So here you can see we grow a lot of crazy stuff. And this is where Epiphany arose from. So the reason you have Fess Parker separate from Epiphany is that when we got started, Eli, as the original winemaker, was just enthralled with Rhone varieties. And so there was a lot of let's plant this, and let's plant that, and let's try this, and let's try that. And that's always fantastic. But when the rubber meets the road, you gotta get the wine out. So what we decided to do is, rather than throw a bunch of pasta against the wall, if you will, we segregated what would be Fess Parker. So predominantly Burgundian varietals, with the exception, obviously, of the Riesling and Syrah. And then what was specifically Rhone and really sort of focusing on the Upper Mesa becomes Epiphany. And that was sort of his homage to Fess, in that Eli wasn't really sure what he wanted to do. So having that opportunity to really play with wine and learn from some incredible winemakers. This was actually under Jed Steele's tutelage that Eli started producing and learning winemaking before taking some classes and really honing his winemaking technique. And then handing the reins over to Blair Fox, who is our winemaker now. So the Syrah that you're having is coming from this area right here, and it's actually this far block right here, I believe, 23. I think that's the block it's on. So this actually gives you, this is one an early picture of the area. So this is Fox and Canyon Road, and you can see the road going up. So you see this huge mesa here. And so on the back end here, this is facing Point Conception. So you have 3 sides of Ocean Breeze and all facing the San Rafael Mountains here. So again, it's a spectacular area. So this is our original planting of Riesling. And then this is the Upper Mesa. So this is actually the Syrah block. Back here is some Grenache Blanc and some Grenache. And then this is actually Grass Mountain here. So in the spring, right now, it's starting to bloom with poppies. And by April and May, this will be just orange and yellow with poppies. It's an incredible thing to see. So another reason to come visit us. It's quite beautiful, and you can take a horseback riding tour and have lunch and drink wine up in the Upper Mesa.
Yes.
Are you free to
Let's go. I'm out. I'm ready.
Exactly. So just to give you a little bit more as you're tasting the wine, I showed you the Ashley's Vineyard. This is Parker West. This is our westernmost vineyard. It's also Chard and Pinot Noir. I love to show this vineyard just because it shows the diversity. This is Sanford and Benedict, where we produce a Pinot from there. And directly across the road, Fiddlesticks Vineyard, where we also produce a Pinot. And then right up here is Sea Smoke. So when you hear about all these iconic vineyards and you look at the area, these guys are literally a stone's throw from each other. So it shows you 3 very distinct vineyard sites with 3 completely different soils. Here, that sort of cherty hard rock, all sand, no stone, and then this is all diatomaceous earth. It's one of my favorite vineyard sites. This is Biennacido. We also produce Biennacido Vineyard Chards and Pinots, and in fact, the very first Chardonnay that we produced in '91 was from Biennacido Vineyard. So kind of exciting. This is our new production facility. So we have 8 cement fermenters that we brought in from France a few years ago. So all of our reds and some of our whites are done in these cement fermenters. We're pretty excited about that. Tim Snyder, Blair Fox, and Tyler Eck. Tyler is our associate winemaker and really has been the driving force in a lot of these sustainability certifications and bringing in these and updating a lot of our production facility. So very exciting to have him here. I think I showed you guys all of this exciting stuff. And there you go, Rodneys Vineyard. So this Syrah to me, gosh, I love it. So 2016, if you can recall, was a relatively warm vintage. So we had some pretty concentrated fruit, but when you taste this wine, to me, it's all whole berry fermented. It has this beautiful sort of olive tapenade. There's sort of fennel and almost an Italian sausage meatiness quality to it. And then mid-palate, you get a little bit of that sort of black pepper spice, and then the big fruit. Then you get that black cherry, blackberry richness on the back end. It's not a big fruit bomb. It's not your typical maybe Aussie-style Shiraz. This really, to me, emulates a very classic Rhone style. The 2016 is 100% Syrah. As we move into 2017, we did a little co-ferment with Viognier, and going forward, there's about 8% Viognier that goes into co-ferment here. But to me, I think this is a wine it's big and it's full-bodied, but it's not flabby. It's not over the top. It sees a fair amount of oak. About 50% of that is new. It's all French oak barrels. Everything we produce is either done in French oak. We do a little bit of American oak blend in with our Big Easy, which is the red blend that you probably see out there a lot. But again, you can see here production. It's 487 cases, and those are 6 packs. So it's tiny production. And it's a wine. It's one of my favorite wines that we produce.
Very tiny production. Again, very limited. Doesn't leave the winery. These are things that are going to be themed tonight on tonight's show. And while we're going to talk about a couple more things, please, if anybody has any questions for Liz before we send her off, please throw those in the comments now so we can ask them before she takes off. But see, to me, what I think everybody skips over, because I think California Cab, is they skip over the California Syrah. And the Syrah is just so amazing out of California that, I mean, right now I'm wishing I was having some Carolina barbecue to go with this, because it would be perfect.
Yeah, because I kind of look at this as your daylight saving time transition red. It goes from winter to spring really, really nicely. And now with the daylight lingering longer in the evening, then all of a sudden I think about cooking out. I think about having some things that are grilled, but still some things that are roasted as well. And once again, just like the other 2 wines, the acidity is what just kind of carries the whole thing through and maintains this liveliness that I just really appreciate a great deal.
Yeah, very light tannin, but big big flavor throughout the whole.
To me, this wine and it's also I think a little bit indicative of Syrah as a grape, but I always find that when you take a sip of it, you can almost feel the acid work its way to the roof of your mouth and sort of hover like a tension at the roof of your mouth, and it holds this wine together. Without that, I think you just have kind of a big flabby mess on your hands. I think in general, the wines just show beautifully. The concrete fermenter. So yeah, all of our red wines are going into those concrete fermenters. They're conical. So when we put after everything is comes in and we put the whole berries in, as the must works its way and you get a cap in, it's because it's conical, or the conicity, I guess, it spreads that cap across it. So you get a little bit more exposure to the skins. Because we don't need to worry about, the concrete is quite thick. We don't have to worry about climate or temperature inside the production facility. It really gives it a cleaner, we feel a cleaner fermentation process, and then everything is pressed off into barrels after that. And so for the Syrah, we are using, again, those 500-liter puncheons. So they're bigger barrels. For Pinot Noir, we classically use 228-liter Burgundy barrels, and same thing for Chardonnay. But yeah, so most of the red wines at this point, we're using the concrete fermenters. We do have a couple of concrete eggs that we do with some of the whites as well. But yeah, so pretty exciting. Yeah, if anybody has any other questions, otherwise, I so appreciate you giving me the opportunity to share the story. Thank you so much for bringing these wines in, and make sure that your next guest, tell him I said hello. I know Larry well.
Yes. So we will let Larry know. Thank you so much for your time. Can't wait to get out to come visit you, or when you come visit us again, because we love having you in the shop.
I will.
So we will definitely set up a tasting with you as soon as you come in the market, because we love all the Fess Parker stuff.
Ask and you shall receive.
So question, because I know we're Chuck's not carrying anymore. If I come out, is there any Frontier Red left?
Yes. As a matter of fact, we do have it. It's just a matter of them ordering it. We can certainly get it transferred from another distributor, but yeah, we have Frontier, and just it's quite a unique wine. It's really done in this sort of interesting Solera style method. So the mother of this is Syrah, but there's a little bit of Sangiovese in there. There's a little bit of the Cunoise, Carignan. It's everything that you saw on the Upper Mesa that's planted up there. sort of blended in. As we take some out, then we add new in. So it's a quite interesting blend and delicious.
Very delicious. Very
And
delicious.
somebody
I drink it a lot when I can. When I on the menu, when we're in Florida, I drink it. So we go to Disney quite often, and it's on some menus. So
yes, it is. It's they're very good to us when they're open. So somebody asked about Fess. So just to give you a little bit of background, Fess, yes, was the actor that played Daniel Boone and Davy Crockett in TV and movies. And he and his wife Marcy purchased the property in the 80s. But yeah, it's exactly who you think it is.
Yes.
All right, guys. I don't want to hold you up any longer. Thank you so much for having me. And
thank you so much. What a pleasure to see you. Mine's are great.
All right. Thanks.
Bye-bye. Amazing.
Bye-bye.
All right. Well, Liz, what do we say? I mean, again, a lot of fun. She's great when she's in the shop and in town and everything. That Syrah, I mean, folks, there's 36 bottles. That's it. 36 bottles. We're not talking about a lot. Get on it. I know it's $40 down to $38 plus your club discounts. Take advantage of these tonight, because when you start drinking this, you don't want to say no. No, you do not. Now it's time to kind of switch wineries now, I guess, a group of wineries, and we're going to bring on Larry O'Brien. And Larry is a master somm. Larry is also the brand ambassador for the Jackson family of wines. And we're going to go over some of the wines in their portfolio that are really exclusive. So let's bring Larry to the show. Larry, let me unmute you here. Or you can unmute yourself. It's not let me unmute you.
So, there we go. How about that?
Larry, welcome to the show. How are we doing tonight?
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be joining you from an undisclosed basement in northeastern Ohio. You can tell by 1972.
You don't tell, we won't tell. So you're good.
Yes, Miss Cooper is an old friend. I wish we could have intersected virtually. She's a wonderful lady, knows a lot about wine, and certainly knows a lot about the county that we're going to be discussing first this evening. I actually have a couple special guests joining, and I didn't mention it to you guys. So if you see a woman named Katie Rogers waiting to get in or waiting, you can Katie. There she is.
Hello.
Hi, Katie Rogers. So
you look like you're in a different basement in Ohio.
Yeah, I'm in my red wine room.
So like Elizabeth, and I think Elizabeth was joining us from Santa Barbara, right? Yep. Katie's joining
Santa Barbara as well. Santa Barbara for this, yeah, but
we're not sure. She was in a basement in an undisclosed location too.
As well. Well, Katie is our Santa Barbara brand manager, a resident of Santa Barbara County. Husband's in the business as well. So the wine business in Santa Barbara are something she is intimately familiar with. So I thought I'd have a special guest on. And tonight we're going to talk about a couple wines from Santa Barbara County, as well as a wine from Sonoma County. And I have a special guest as well from Sonoma County. I'll have Jeff Stewart.
There's more.
Yeah, but wait. Jeff Stewart will be joining us to talk about his Zinfandel. And tonight we've got two Pinots. We've got Cambria Clone 4 Pinot Noir from just about 25 miles as the car drives from where Fess Parker was located. And I'll do a little Google Earthing for you and show you where it's at. And then we're going to traverse just a couple ridges to the south. We're going to go down into about mile marker 7.28, I think it is. Mile marker 7.28 to talk about Fiddlesticks Vineyard, which is a vineyard that we don't own, but we buy the fruit from. And we make, you guys have been talking about small volumes of wine. Fiddlesticks Vineyard from Byron is one of the smaller volumes of wine that we make. The Cambria Clone 4, I wouldn't call tiny, but I sure as hell wouldn't call large, not by any stretch. And it's kind of a product of the COVID era. I hate to even say those words since we're evolving away from the era of COVID. I just read a headline that was really promising. The largest volume of flyers since March 11th was just last Friday and Saturday. We had over 1.3 million people pass through TSA checkpoints, which is incredibly positive news. It is a indicator of a little bit of freedom, right? People are feeling a little bit better about getting out into the world, and that's a lovely thing. So I did hear Cooper telling you guys to come on to Santa Barbara. I strongly urge you to visit Katie and Jill Russell and Denise Shirtliff and Greg Brewer and all of our friends down there in Santa Barbara County, because it is a beautiful place. And you fly into Burbank, do it old fashioned, like fly into Burbank on Southwest, and you have to walk down the steps, but you don't have to go through LA if you land at LAX. So come visit us. We're more than welcome to receive you, and we'll talk a little bit about that after. But I'm going to throw it to Katie, because it is, after all, Women in Wine Month. Absolutely. Right. And there's probably not a more girl power oriented winery in Jackson Family Wines than Cambria Estate Winery. So, Katie, tell us a little bit about Cambria Estate.
Would love to. So, hi, everybody. And please feel free to use the comments and watching them if you have questions. But Cambria Winery's in Santa Maria. So again, that's about, like an hour and a half north of Santa Barbara proper, if you've ever been to downtown Santa Barbara. And Cambria Winery was founded by Barbara Benke and Jess Jackson. And Barbara and their two daughters, Julia and Catherine, are the namesakes of actually a lot of our labels. So if you've ever seen Cambria out there, you might have seen Catherine's Chardonnay or Julia's Vineyard Pinot Noir. And I always love to say that the stamp of quality, if you're going to put your child's name on it, it's going to be a good wine. So that's also just, Jill Russell, our winemaker, has a lot of pressure on her along with our farming team to make sure that, she doesn't screw up what Mother Nature is giving us. So as Larry's showing you, our Cambria estate. So what an estate vineyard means, just in case, it means that we grow all of our own fruit and we source all of our wines from our own properties. So when we talk about Byron next, that'll be a little different, where we source wine from a few other farmers in the area, or grape, from a few other farmers in the area. But for Cambria, we have about 1,600 acres planted in Santa Maria. We don't necessarily use all of that for Cambria. Some of that goes into our other family portfolio, but Jill Russell, whose office is at the winery, obviously, she gets to walk all of these roads throughout the entire vintage, see how everything's going, farm each block for the specific wine that she's going to make, and really get to know these vines. Back to the girl power essence of it for Women's History Month, Denise Shirtliff is also our GM. She was previously the Cambria winemaker for years. And Santa Barbara County actually has the highest percentage of female winemakers anywhere in the state of California. So that's also something that we're very proud of. But this Clone 4 Pinot Noir is what you're having. And it's 100% Pinot Noir and it's 100% Clone 4 from Santa Maria. And so with these transverse mountain range, which he's now showing you where Fess Parker is, so they're just south of us. But Santa Maria and then Santa Rita Hills, which we'll dive into next with Byron, they both have these transverse mountain range, or sideways sirens, as we like to call them. And what that does is it creates a funnel from the ocean, which again, as the crow flies, is only maybe 8 to 10 miles, of this cool air, refrigerated sunshine, and also this beautiful fog that we can literally tell the time by, right? It goes out at 10 a.m. and the wind starts at 1 p.m. almost every day. And why is that important? Why do you care about the weather being accurate? Pinot Noir has really thin skins, and we're pretty far south. So traditionally, you would think you can't grow grapes that far south, or at least quality grapes. But that funnel and those transverse mountain ranges enable us to grow amazing Pinot Noir and amazing Chardonnay, along with some really great Rhone varietals. So that's a little overview of kind of the Cambria estate. Everything, again, from the furthest that grape has traveled is in your glass right now. It did not leave that property until you purchased it. So that's again, that kind of quality control that Jill and our team there get to have.
Incredible. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm already loving on it.
Oh, yeah.
Loving it.
Quality all the way through from start to finish.
Start to finish.
And you really do get to taste the area through this one, which I really love. And you spoke to it very, very well, because that all that fog and everything and cooling down, it just lends depth of flavor, depth of aromatics to it.
So it's why it's one of the best regions to grow Pinot Noir, right? That's why you have vineyards, and that's why you're growing Pinot Noirs, because it does what it's supposed to do there, right? You know, the fog lets the grape rest a little bit, then it goes off, and it works all day doing photosynthesis and doing all its thing and producing, and all of a sudden it goes, I'm really tired, and that nice cool air comes in at the nighttime and it's like that fog's like a little blanket in the morning that gets rolled off, and it gets to do it all over again. So this is why. We talk about this all the time on the show, how, that kind of symbiotic relationship for Pinot Noir is what it needs, because of how the clusters, you can have so much fruit end up having to fall off because out of the cluster, you get the fungus in there, and then you just lose so much, but you have that environment which grows. I know I got a master somm on here talking about grapes. But anyway, I love the grape part. This is the part that I love.
I think you're absolutely right. This grape variety, Pinot Noir, is all about place. Not every grape is about place. There are certain grapes that thrive under a variety of conditions. Pinot Noir is one of those just so varieties. And Katie's absolutely hit the nail on the head. If we weren't so close to the Pacific, it would be impossible, given the warmth of a southerly latitude. I mean, if you draw this line around the world, if I put Google Earth back up and put the grid on it so you can see the longitudinal lines, you'd be amazed. I mean, guess where we are if we draw a line from Santa Rita Hills. We're going to go as far south in the county as we can. But if I draw a line from Santa Rita Hills, where are we in Europe?
I don't know the answer.
Where are we in Europe? And so you're looking at the 38th area. There's like
just a little further north than that, but
okay. So right there.
We're south of Sicily. We're between Sicily and North Africa.
Yeah.
You continue that line further east, where do you end up? You end up in Syria, Lebanon, the Bekaa Valley. So this is not a latitude known for its temperance, but because we are just miles from the rugged, intense Pacific and its cool climate, I love that description. I wish I could say I coined it. I really don't know who did. I think it might have been our friend that used to write for Wine Enthusiast that coined the phrase. Do you remember, Katie?
Steve?
Yeah, Steve Heimhoff coined that phrase. Yeah, Steve coined that phrase called refrigerated.
I love it. We just take it and roll with it.
Yeah. I'll give him attribution, but I'm going to use it nonetheless.
Yeah.
And you guys are right. It is that really kind of slowing of vine metabolism, respiration at night, and then getting that full dose of intense. I mean, it's intense. I am a fair-haired Irish Slovak guy, and if I don't put SPF 50 on in Santa Barbara, like I'm lobster red in no time. It's one of those places you have to watch. And when it comes to grape ripeness, there's two ways a grape gets ripe. And in acting, they say drama's easy and comedy's hard. Well, in grape growing, sugar's easy and aroma, flavor, texture is hard. And it's the sun that's responsible for that second type of ripeness or the other type of ripeness. And that is the ripeness of skins, aroma, flavor, texture. And that ripeness of skins has to be managed, because if you're not really intent upon getting the skins used to that sun early in the growing season, having really good canopy management, good vineyard architecture, all that stuff, you can, like, if you expose that fruit too late to sun, you'll literally fry that stuff. So it has to be exposed through good vineyard management, through good canopy management, and then slowly but surely those skins begin to get used to the sun and kind of slather themselves in their own SPF, otherwise known as kind of thicker skins with more chemistry, which leads to aroma, flavor, texture that you're picking up as you taste the wines. I love this wine because it's so broadly appealing. It's soft, sumptuous, supple. Katie, remind me, this is primarily some of the older clonal, the heritage clonal stuff, yeah?
It is, and that's what I was going to mention too. Is so while Cambria, the winery, started in 1986, some of these vines were planted in the 70s. So we actually have some beautiful, and they were own rooted. So we have some beautiful heritage vines that, again, they've lived their entire life there. But also with us starting in 86, we have people that have been farming this land, again, for 30 plus years. And the average tenure of our cellar team, so Jill Russell, our winemaker, started in vintage 17 when Denise went on to her general manager role at the winery. But some of the cellar team, which half of them are related because they're like, we love working here, come work with us. Their average tenure is over 20 years now. So they've been here throughout, working with this fruit, which is our core ingredient, for more than 20 years. When you talk about, like, again, if you're, old world wineries in Europe where they pass it on and it's a family business, it really is the same here as well. And we're super fortunate for that.
Awesome. I'm just texting our other guest star right now.
Other guest. I mean, what is this? I've been telling you, I'm in shock. I'm like, oh,
we have cocktails tonight. Yes, great.
I was going to say, Catherine asking for pairing recommendations. So, Catherine, with this, we love a good salmon. We also love like some mushroom dishes because you have that earthy savoriness in it. But also, we're barbecue country. So we're not sauce barbecue country. We are dry rub, tri-tip country. So slightly different, but still the same. So we are lucky that we have sprawling oaks surrounding us. So it's usually over an oak grill and dry rub Suzy Q's on some tri-tip with some salsa and beans on the sides. But whether you're barbecuing some meat or barbecuing beets, either of that, could go both ways.
So what do you think?
Absolutely second that. Maybe even some smoked sausages that you maybe finish on the grill. Really love that idea. The wine's fruity and soft. It's dry. It's savory on the finish. There's that unmistakable kind of earthiness. It's kind of a mushroomy, dark, dank potting soil kind of thing, along with that dark cherry, that kind of slightly overripe strawberry kind of note that I think Clone 4 is pretty famous for. Clone 4 is one of the first clonal variants that Davis in California offered to the wine industry going back to kind of like the late 60s, early 70s. It was really one of the first clonal variants that they cleaned up and made sure was free of viruses and would set a heavy crop. And the truth is, it's kind of boring when it's youthful and vigorous and setting a kind of heavier crop. But Katie, a lot of this plant material is now 30, 40 years old.
It is, and that's why we decided to bottle it in a single clone. So our Julia's Pinot, if anybody on here has ever enjoyed that, that's a blend of 7 different clones from our property. So this is, again, just a single bottling of just Clone 4 showing that essence.
Beautiful. We hope you guys are enjoying it. But we're gonna move forward. Like they say when they're replaying the college football games on Sunday. In the interest of time, we're gonna move forward in our game.
You got it.
Larry, before we get there, let me just do a little, let everybody know they can get this on the loadedgrape.com. We have a great deal price on this, down to $28. Yeah, right. See, you always know when I say the price, the people who work at the winery go, folks, she didn't know the price before I said it. So, yeah, don't listen, la, la, la. You might want to get, put this in your cart with that reaction. Yeah, this is absolutely delicious. You're gonna love it, and we'll move on because I think we're gonna drink some more Pinot. Yep. Is that right?
Yep.
We are indeed, and we're really not going to go that far as the crow flies. And while we say we're in the same county, we're in similar terroir. To use that French concept of this intersection of geography, geology, elevation, aspect, climate, farming, all those things. there's a difference between Santa Maria Valley at the very northern edge of the county and Santa Rita Hills on the western edge. It's sort of the southern end of the county. So Katie, give us a little bit of the locals' perspective on how those places are different. And maybe, you talk about Kathy Joseph and how important she is. Yeah. As it's Women in Wine Month, we got to talk about her.
Yeah. Can't touch Women in Wine without talking about Kathy. So, okay. So you're drinking Byron Winery. So Byron was founded by Ken Byron Brown, who still has his own label, Ken Brown. And Byron specifically does single vineyard, right? So while Cambria only, focuses on the estate, and we have our Julia's and Catherine's vineyard, Byron sources from Santa Maria and Santa Rita Hills, focusing on single vineyard Pinot Noir. This particular bottling is from Fiddlesticks. So again, Santa Rita Hills is, depending on which part of Santa Maria and Santa Rita Hills, anywhere from like 45 minutes to an hour away from Santa Maria, because you're traveling from east to like southwest. And Santa Rita Hills is really only about like an 8-mile stretch, but it goes on two sides of a kind of like hilly range. So the Fiddlesticks Vineyard is, and again, this is also another transverse mountain range. So we get 2 of them in Santa Barbara County. We're super lucky. But as an example, if you've ever had a Happy Canyon Cabernet or a Happy Canyon Sauv Blanc, that's only 20 miles away, but we're going away from the ocean at that range. And so within 20 miles, we're growing Cabernet Sauvignon at really high quality, gorgeous level, as well as Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. And that's only possible due to our proximity and funnel to the ocean. So that's why it's important. And the degree of weather actually changes about 1 degree per mile. So you could literally like drive from the morning and be bundled up and freezing and foggy to like just sweating and trying to get layers off. So with that, Kathy Joseph, she founded Fiddlehead Winery, which is her winery, and she's the winemaker and proud proprietor of that, as well as the Vineyard Fiddlesticks. So we are very fortunate that we had the opportunity to start buying some grapes from Kathy, because Fiddlesticks is just a gorgeous site. There are a few other wineries that make a Fiddlesticks. So it's one of those, again, vineyards that they do sell their fruit, and it just, again, gets the name of Santa Rita Hills and their winery out there a little bit more. But with this, again, with Santa Rita Hills, you're going to get more of those like blueberry characteristics, but Santa Rita Hills also brings in this savory salinity quality, even in the Pinot Noir. So almost like a salted plum. And then it also brings, like, again, just like those tannin textures, right? So like think about black tea. If you drink tea, right, let the bag soak a little bit too long and you get that kind of pucker of tannin. So you do get some of that tannic structure as well from Fiddlesticks. And for this specific Byron one, again, 2 of the main differences from the Cambria you just drank. One is clone. So for this, it's clone 667 and 777. I used to have a team member that said it was devilishly good +1. Those tend to be, going back to like meat, but those tend to be our steak lovers clone. Like if you're a cab drinker or a red blend drinker, you could look for clone 667 or 777. They're just grippier and bigger. But this also has more new oak on it. So you're going to have the tannic structure that is a little bit more prevalent in Santa Rita Hills, along with a little bit more new oak tannin. It's integrated really well, but it also balances that more robust clone of Pinot Noir that we're working with for this wine.
It's definitely a very vivacious kind of approach to it. I just really enjoy this a lot, and it kind of leaps out of the glass. Tasty.
It's so tasty, and it's so funny because you says Fiddlesticks. It's not Fiddlesticks. This is more than Fiddlesticks. This is I took the first.
It's got muscles, guys. Right? It's definitely got muscles. But rather than being bulky and bodybuilder muscles, long, sinewy kind of. I think of I think of Michael Spinks. When he was a light heavyweight boxer, he wasn't bulky, but the guy didn't have an ounce of fat on him. And he, and as skinny as he was, he hit he hit way beyond his weight. He punched beyond his weight, as they say. Or I think of ballerina muscles or, very agile, very athletic, but very graceful at the same time. There's just something about these Santa Rita Hills wines that's a bit more powerful and intense. These are, I don't like the Burgundy comparisons as I preface a Burgundy comparison, right? I don't like them, but I'm going to give you one. These are sort of the Gevrey Chambertin, if you would, of Santa Barbara. These are the wines that are more tannic, more extracted. Kate, food-wise, what do you think? Do you have a favorite food? Can you dial it up a little bit?
You know what?
I mean, we'll go for it.
No, you were talking about how you're growing the cab there. I'm thinking I'm going more like maybe lamb shank, maybe I'm going a little bit bigger. I'm going with meat. I'm not shying away from it.
Yeah, so I was gonna say I'm a hunter. So I also was going more like this can stand up to game. It can stand up to some herbaceousness too. Like if you're using, we use juniper a lot to break down some of the gaminess that you can get in our rubs. And so it does have like a nice little smoky finish too because of that new oak essence. So you also might just want to pair it with a good cigar. So I think that there's no wrong answer, but I also think see how the wine evolves over, if you can not drink the whole bottle, buy more so that in case you do, but see how it evolves over a couple days. And I saw somebody on here was drinking some Willamette wines, and our friend Shane that makes Grand Marine wines, he likes to describe his wines as an iron fist and a velvet glove, and I think I could borrow that for this wine as well.
It's absolutely delicious, and I'm. How many cases are we talking about that exist? I mean, I know how many.
Probably the smallest lot, Katie. What do you?
I think there is only for the 16 vintage, like less than 200 cases. Not a lot, because Kathy. I mean, there's only so much fruit on the property, so she does like her brand first, and then again, it's just based on client relations. So.
Well, I'm a little
like this when I saw the price come up.
Yes, I know, right? Not only that, but we have 24 bottles. That's all we have. So
that's it. That's it, guys. I thought when I talked to Julia a little earlier, I thought it was like 18. But be that as it may.
Well, no, it's 18 because I already bought 6.
Yeah.
There you go. Very good.
Yeah, and I will mention too, like for Cambria, we obviously we have a website, but for Byron, we don't like have a website. You can just click on buy. You have to be on an allocation list. So like what you have that's it.
Yeah, we are very, very fortunate tonight. These are lucky and good finds for us and for all of your folks who are listening in, because this is some good stuff.
I'm telling you right now, we're probably going to go through all those 24 bottles. I mean, this is, for those who are looking at the price going, 50, 48, they're going to get their club discount. They're going to get a little less than that as well. But also, folks, this doesn't get out. This doesn't go places. This is your opportunity to have something in your cellar where you go, hey, do you have a Byron Fiddlestick Pinot Noir? Nope, you don't. I do, and so that's where this is, and it's so good. So compared to the other one where I was more barbecue, I'm going bigger meats, going and you're right, cigars. Chuck, we might be having a cigar after this. What do you think?
And if you have some venison, let's do that one too.
I mean, I got it. We're ready to go. So that could happen. So we won't even talk about the Cubans at the bottom. So that could happen too.
Those are so big. Those things, they got to be like 30 years old before you can smoke a Cuban. Otherwise, I get stoned smoking those things. They're too much. Okay, so Katie, thank you.
You're welcome.
And giving us your Santa Barbara perspective.
And everybody come visit. Once you shot up on that plane, and we actually are going into red tier, which for California is good direction. It's the color code, so I don't get, but we're opening red tier tomorrow, which means starting to do indoor capacity with restaurants and everything else. So please, we would love to see you when you feel comfortable, and come see us in Wine Country.
And I know when they say come visit, they mean come visit.
We do. I mean, bring your cowboy boots. Get ready. All right. Bye. Thank you.
Katie, thank you so much. Katie. It was a pleasure.
So, guys, if you want to, Danny and Chuck, if you want to look for a gent named Jeff Stewart,
if
We're gonna bring. He's walking around, so hopefully we get him to a spot. But we'll bring Jeff in right now.
There he is.
There you go.
Hey guys,
Hey,
how we doing?
Jeff.
Look at that handsome man.
Well, I'm on the square downtown Healdsburg. So everyone look around. What do you think? Sunny California?
Yeah, and you guys are you're allowed to go out and see people. I hear it's red. You're in red zone.
Look at this. I got people with me. Check it out. Larry O'Brien in the house.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. So Jeff, tell us about Zinfandel, and it's sort of it's infamous rise to fame at Hartford. This is, guys, I love the story, and this guy knows the story well. Hartford Court was founded, as far as Jeff Jackson, the founding father of Jackson Family Wines, as far as Jeff was concerned, this was to be a Pinot winery, a Chardonnay winery for the aristocratic Burgundian varieties. But that's really not what happened early on. Jeff, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's a pretty interesting story, and great to be with you guys. Sorry, I'm kind of walking down the street here, but I'm going to get to a spot where I can stop in a minute. But Hartford Family Winery was founded back in 1994, and Don and Jenny Hartford started the winery with Jenny's dad, the infamous Jess Jackson. And the goal, their whole idea was to start this winery up in the Russian River and really work with things that thrived in the Russian River. So obviously the go-tos, even back then, were Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. Now, I don't know if everybody thinks of it, but I really think about Zinfandel as well in the Russian River when you talk about our AVA. So when you look at it, Don and Jenny happened to have, at that point, a vineyard that was 80 years old in their backyard. Old vine Zinfandel back then. And keep in mind, this is 1994. So if you have those grapes, and let's be honest, back then those grapes were being sold to Gallo, to go into white Zin. Old vine Zinfandel going into white Zin. Now, so I just want everyone to remember this. The next time somebody badmouths white Zinfandel, get in their face. Because honestly, if it weren't for white Zin, we wouldn't have these old vine vineyards still around today. So, of course, when the winery was founded, Hartford Zinfandel, the vineyard, had to be produced alongside a Rendell Pinot Noir, which is one of our flagship wines that we still produce today. And there was a little controversy. Jess didn't really feel the same way about Zinfandel that maybe Don and Jenny did, but they worked it out. And today we produce 7 different old vine Zinfandels, all from the Russian River Valley, all amazing, amazing wines that, again, are part of our heritage. I mean, for me as a winemaker, I don't know. I get to work with vineyards that were planted before the 1906 earthquake. They were planted before Prohibition and survived Prohibition. It's incredible. I mean, you think about that history. When I walk into a vineyard and look at the grapes, I mean, you're in awe. You're at a loss of words. Let's be honest. It's incredible. So this wine and the blend that we make from all of our estate vineyards is today, a huge part of what we do. And again, whether you're a history buff, whether you're a wine geek, whether you just like wines, or if you love Dustin Vallette, one of the greatest chefs in all of Healdsburg, say hi to the crew in North Carolina.
Woo, what's going on, guys? I hate him to say that, just so you guys know.
Who loves Hartford Gin?
Ah, dude.
He does.
Well, that's here. What's going on, guys? Welcome to the restaurant. Hey, just so you know, this is his official setup here. You can't see this. Perfect diffused light coming through.
See,
exactly, set up just for you, baby.
He's my PR guy as well as executive.
Your hype man,
Yes.
Jeff Stewart has the most famous chef.
I'll be in in a bit.
All right.
So you can see, I'm out entertaining tonight. This was sort of a last-minute add-on. So,
Jeff, I'm sincerely appreciative of you jumping in. By the way, ladies and gentlemen,
But Larry, pop the map back up so we can talk.
Yeah. I'm gonna take you to a couple of vineyards, Jeff. If you want to do a little commentary.
Absolutely.
And Jeff,
So,
thank you so much for taking some time out and joining us on Virtual Vines. I already know that our viewers are so appreciative of your time, and we really appreciate it. And I can tell you right now, this we love Hartford wines completely. I sell a lot of the Chardonnay. We sell a lot of the Zin. So but this is like an extra treat. I didn't know this was happening, so this is awesome.
Well, it's what we do. It's what we do. But yeah, there's some great shots of kind of what these old Zin vineyards look like, and that doesn't look like a modern vineyard at all, does it? You see, it's kind of a, our vineyards that were planted back then are somewhere between 8x8 vine spacing and 12x12 or 10x12, depending on what that particular Italian immigrant decided was the best approach. There's less rhyme or reason to these vineyards than a modern vineyard that we would go plant today. All these old vine Zin vineyards are roughly 90-95% Zinfandel. The balance of the vines kind of interplanted in the middle are what we call mixed reds, or in some cases mixed whites. So what you have is sort of an old Italian tradition of taking, if you had Nebbiolo, you might plant some other things in the middle of your Nebbiolo vineyard if you were in Italy. So when immigrants came over and planted these vineyards in the late 1800s, early 1900s, it's amazing because they just kind of brought their heritage, and they couldn't get Nebbiolo or Dolcetto here back then. So they found Zinfandel, which is sort of California's grape. And they planted Zin, but they also found, you could get from your neighbor a couple vines of Alicante Boucher, which create this really dark, super high acid wine. You might find Chasselas, a white grape, Sauvignon Vert, Grand Noir, Petit Syrah, or Durif, or whatever you wanted to call it back then. And they interplanted these grapes. So each of our vineyards today has a kind of unique field blend that is mostly Zin, but has those spice grapes. And then the sites that these are planted on, obviously, were good sites. Did they know they were planting on the equivalent of a Grand Cru site back then? No, they were just farmers. They were like, hey, we need wine for our families. We need wine grapes to sell to support our families. And it was a passion thing. And as I said, it's an honor and a privilege for me today to be able to actually work with fruit that these guys planted over a century ago. Amazing stuff. On the winemaking side, we try and respect what that vineyard gives us, much the way we would with Chardonnay or Pinot Noir. We make our wines more like a Pinot Noir in style, so we don't over-extract. Inherently, the beauty of the Russian River is the cool weather. So the Zinfandels here, as well as the Pinots and Chards that we make, have great acidity, natural acidity that really doesn't go away. So we can have a very ripe, big style of Zin that still has acidity and balance. So this is a wine you can enjoy with food. It's a wine that pairs with almost any kind of food, a cheese course, wild game, lamb, a steak, whatever you want. It's super versatile. Whereas most Zins, honestly, let's think about it. A Zin and cigars at the end of the night are a great way to go. These wines are more than that. The Russian River Zinfandels from Hartford sort of have that character of brightness and intensity and juicy fruit and all the good stuff that comes along with that. So really amazing stuff. That's kind of an overview there of several of the vineyards on Wood Road that Larry had up there. And again, I just got to say it's an honor and a pleasure to make wines from these vineyards. It really is a piece of history.
So Jeff, I got to ask, when you talk about Zinfandel and you think about some of the great Zins that enjoy praise, they're rich, they're decadent, they're jammy. Your wine it's powerful in flavor, but jammy, I don't know that I wouldn't describe it that way. It has a tartness, an almost an electric level of bright, tart acidity, tanginess. How do you get that when everybody else is doing it a little bit differently? Is it the way you make it, or is it where we're getting the fruit, or what is it?
It's the place. I mean, it's Russian River. And I mean, we're not that far from Dry Creek. We're, 10 miles away from the Dry Creek Valley, which is an amazing Zin producing area, but it's warmer in Dry Creek. So acidity drops more quickly, pHs go up. So when we're making harvest decisions, most wineries are thinking about, well, are the tannins mature? Gosh, is the sugar there? Looking at different parameters for us, we get the maturity of tannins because we're harvesting so late in the season. Typically what we're waiting for is acidity to drop. So the wine isn't like drinking a Zinfandel that is like a Chablis, where it's so searingly tart that you couldn't touch it. Or imagine like, an Egon Mueller Riesling that didn't have any RS. It's kind of that feeling,
Oh Lord, that's an unpleasant thought.
That's a visual that none of us want. Oh, but we love them with a little RS, don't we?
Yeah.
The beauty is we don't need the RS here because we have all that fruit, all that intensity, the tannin structure, and they're balanced. And I hate to use the word elegant with a wine in any case because it's sort of overused, and especially if you're talking about an elegant wine that's 15% or plus alcohol. But it is. The wine has elegance, it has balance, and I think just drinkability, food friendliness, and it's sort of, I think Russian River Zin in general is sort of overlooked as a great food wine. Think of it like Barolo. Think of it like some of the great Italian wines that have acidity.
There is something Italianate about the way this wine drinks. There really is. In terms of production, Jeff, we're generally in a really small yielding year, we could be 3,200, 3,500. And in a generous year, we might be, 4,500, 5,000, something along those lines.
On the Russian River, overall, everything, if we're lucky, we're going to be 3,000, 4,000 cases. So the single vineyards are going to be somewhere around 200 cases, 300 maybe. And the Russian River will be maybe 2,500 in a good year. So it's really small production. And again, it's kind of like, there's only so much beachfront property in Malibu. There's only so much Russian River Valley Zinfandel in the Russian River. So we can't go make it. We can't make more of it because 100-year-old vines take 100 years to propagate. So we're lucky today we're in a sweet spot where we've got 120-year-old vines that really are thriving, and we farm better today than we used to. I'll admit that. I'm the first one, to admit we farm these vineyards organically. We're very much concerned about their long-term health because we love the wines they make.
Well, Jeff, we talk about this all the time when we start talking about old vine Zins and especially when we start talking 100-year, 110, 105. Your yield is smaller. On those. So that's why the price goes up. Obviously, Zin does not have the caliber of Cabernet out of California, though it should. I think that's something that people are missing out on totally, because there's great Zins all over California, from Paso to even the mountains of Howe and Spring that some people are now ripping up to put cab, and I'm like, why are you doing that? But it's kind of scary. But when you taste this, Russian River, 100-year vine, this is a grape that I love. This is my favorite variety, so I'm going to throw that out there. Partly because I love the fact that we're living at a time where we're getting to appreciate 100-year-old vines. That's not happened in any other part of these generations, to be able to enjoy 100-year-old vines, or 120-year-old vines for some folks. And you look at this, getting this Zin at under 50, and on 100-year-old. Can you imagine if we're talking about a 100-year-old cab from Napa in 40 years? That's we're going to be talking $700. Yeah, you can't afford it. So that's what I'm saying. This is such a deal and such a great time to live, to be able to have this kind of Zinfandel in your glass that is literally, it drinks like a cab. It drinks like a cab. It's got the white pepper. It's got the blueberry. It's got a little cherry. It's got a little strawberry. It's got everything you're looking for. It's big. It can hold up to any of those things that you're throwing on your plate, but it's also enjoyable by itself. It doesn't need the food. And I mean, it's just what you're making is absolutely incredible. And I will continue to buy and buy and buy and carry it in our shop because this is what folks are loving, and we're slowly getting these people to appreciate these wines from folks like you and Storybook and Robert Craig, and I'm telling you, these are the wines that people are going to be going, oh my gosh, I wish I could get that again, and they're not going to be able to do it.
Yep, no, you hit the nail on the head, and it's really cool. I mean, the first time I made Old Vine Russian River Valley Zin was 1991. And I fell in love. And I kind of cut my teeth on wine in some ways when I was at Davis, going up to the Amador Foothills, which was only a 45-minute drive away from Davis. And big, jammy, over-the-top Zins that were produced up there in different climate. But when I tasted Russian River Valley Zin for the first time, I kind of had, it was like the epiphany when I first tasted great Pinot Noir. It's like, oh, I want to be a part of this. I need this in my life. So I'm feeling very lucky today to be in the middle of it all, and I hope everybody out there kind of jumps on this Zin bandwagon that has been around. We're not Napa Valley Cabernet. We don't make cult wines, although some people would say these are culty a little bit.
I think they are.
Maybe like Hale Bop cults and a little crazy, but that's okay. We don't mind being a little crazy at times.
Well, Jeff, I know you got to get to dinner. I know you've got people to entertain. I'm grateful for the time you've given me this evening. Thank you. Please thank your guests for sharing you. Tell Chef Valette it's Red Zone. He's ready to open. I'm sure he's ready to have people inside. And I'm sure he would ask you all to come to Sonoma County and enjoy the wine, the food, the beautiful scenery, and come to California and help us get back on our feet out there.
Yeah, we can't wait to see you guys out here, and we'll be out there in your neck of the woods in the not too distant future too. So
we definitely look forward to seeing you. And thanks
everybody. Thanks for all the support out there. And Larry, love you as always. You guys have a great night.
Thank
love
you.
You
will.
Have a good one.
Be well.
Larry, thank you so much for that surprise.
My pleasure. Yeah. My pleasure. Jeff loves to represent Sonoma, the Russian River, and the wines that he produces. Jeff is the general manager of Hartford Family Wines. Tion Lorden is the winemaker, but Jeff and Tion are incredibly collaborative in the winemaking process. Jeff worked for the Jackson family in the 90s, and Jeff had an opportunity to work with Buena Vista during previous ownership. Left the Jackson family for a bit. That's when I met Jeff. I was actually working for the company that owned Buena Vista. And Jeff was kind of given carte blanche to get Buena Vista into the 20th century and 21st century. And things were going great, but then things changed. And both Jeff and I ended up working for Jackson Family Wines right around, we both came on board. I came on board around 2010. Jeff probably came back to Jackson Family around 08, 09, back to Hartford Family. And he is truly is knowledgeable about Sonoma County's vineyards from north to south and east to west as anybody you'll meet. And Alita, you said the soils look sandy, and you're right, it is. It's very fine, silty, sandy soils. When I was showing you the Russian River, you can see it's very flat and very low-lying. It's a floodplain. When it's nothing for these vineyards to be underwater nearly every year because they're that close to the flood zone of the Russian River as it pours out into the Pacific Ocean. The Russian River has its headwaters up in Mendocino County. It flows directly through Sonoma County. It creates the Alexander Valley to the north and to the west, to the north and to the east of the Russian River Valley. It bisects the Alexander Valley, kind of makes this loop-de-loo, this crazy kind of Cuyahoga River twist. Cuyahoga is the river that caught on fire here, but it's a really clean river now. You can row in it and fish in it and all that stuff. I shouldn't even, it's so dumb for me to say that because I don't want you to know Cuyahoga caught on fire. In the native language, Cuyahoga is Crooked River. Well, any river is crooked, and there's between Fitch Mountain and Healdsburg, there's kind of this loop-de-loop, and then it creates the Russian River Valley flowing further south. And then right around Sebastopol, it takes a hard left turn as you're looking at the map. Hard left turn goes out to the Pacific Ocean. And all that area on the lower edge, the southern part of Sonoma County, gets flooded. And as a result, the soils are really kind of very fine, silty river alluvial soils. So yes, Alita, that was very good eye. Larry, you look.
A question about the flood. You mentioned flooding being a flood zone. Someone asked it whether the flooding will help the grape in taste or growth.
No, all it does is it basically, when the vine is dormant, nothing's happening. And what we have to do, because what we'll end up with, again, silty stuff kind of gathered around the bottom of the vines, and we have to get that stuff out of there. And we have to aerate, get some air around the base of the vine, but it doesn't do much. The Alexander Valley floods as well. Right in the middle at the low point, right around Jimtown, like as you cross over the bridge there in Jimtown, right by Rodney Strong's Alexander Crown Vineyard, which is a big bump in the middle of the valley floor. There's flooding all the time. So it really doesn't do anything other than we need the water. And that water means that we won't have to do much, if any. These are old, own-rooted, dry farmed. So the water that it gets this time of year will carry it all the way through. These vines are deeply rooted. They've got a system that's really entrenched and can survive just about anything you throw at it. Flood and drought at the other end of the year included.
I tell you what, again, this is why I love Zinfandel, and this is why I love California Zin. When you start talking old vine Zin, it's just the coolest thing. But Larry, I gotta ask. We haven't really had we've never had a master somm on the show, so I'm kind of excited about this. I know that's a lot of work to get there, just so you know, right? More people have been in the space than have been or master somms, so that's pretty incredible. And I've actually had a couple of opportunities to do some blind tasting with Wine Bar George down in Orlando, and I'm sure you know George. And
George is a very good and very old friend. I lived in Florida from 95 through 05, and George Miliotis, John Blazon, Virginia Phillip, Laura DiPasquale, Eric, all those guys are old friends. But I ended up working for Emeril Lagasse at Universal Studios, and George Miliotis was the guy who opened California Grill atop Disney's Contemporary Resort. And man, that restaurant, if you've not been, when you need a break from the kids and you want a really good glass of wine and some amazing sushi, I'm telling you, world-class sushi at Disney. Yes, it's possible. The Contemporary Resort, and that's George's sort of vision and doing. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, amazing. And now he has his own place there in Disney Springs, and we're big supporters of it. And again, I think I've done it 3 times with some groups, doing the blind tasting, and I feel like every time I learn something so new, because the hardest part about the whole test, you could study and do all that, but to go into a room with glasses of wine in front of you and have to do that is just absolutely incrable.
Well, that's what I failed 4 times at the master level and once at the advanced level. I understand the difficulty.
No. I think it's absolutely incredible that one time, and then when you walked out and you're like, I got it, right? That's got to be after 4 times you're like, oh my God.
I didn't know I had it.
You didn't?
I honestly didn't. I thought it was close, but I never felt great. Here's the truth. As a younger guy from Northeastern Ohio, I passed when I lived in Florida after being there a few years, and it's one of the reasons I moved there was to be around others who are pursuing the same thing. But I am such a better taster now than I was then, and it's got nothing to do with skill or ability. You know what it's got to do with? 20 years. That's what it's got. I'm older, I'm wiser, and I've drunk thousands of more wines, and I'm just experienced. That's it. It's got nothing to, there's no such thing as a gifted palate. Don't believe any of that BS. It's tasting wine over and over and over till you sort of indelibly burn it into your long-term memory. And ultimately, there aren't that many different styles. Now, if you're going to throw some obscure Romanian variety at me, I ain't going to get it. Get a Bordeaux, the natural uniqueness of Bordeaux versus Napa. Rioja is different than Chianti Classic, although they share something in common. And one of the biggest challenges ever is, what the hell's the difference between Sangiovese and Nebbiolo? Well, I feel so much more comfortable now being able to tell them apart because I've probably had, 100, 200 Barolos in my life and another 40, 50 Barbarescos and, countless Chianti Classicos and, enough Brunello. It's just experience. That's where the real and the joy that comes with all that experience. That's
well, Larry, we love your joy that you take from it also. It really does shine through, and we appreciate it so much.
Yeah, I'll say that I've not met a lot of master sommeliers, but the ones I have, everybody is always just, their love for wine and the passion of being in the wine business is what shines through. And so, and just from the moment you hopped on, everybody is that I've met is kind of a character in a sense. You guys kind of, have great sense of humor, and I think you have to, if going through all that torture of becoming a master som, you have to have a good sense of humor, and it just, again, your knowledge, your ability to direct people is just incredible, and for you to even grab some of your friends to be on the show tonight it was a complete shock. So thank you so much for doing that.
My pleasure. Happy to do it. It's been a pleasure, Danny and Chuck, to share the evening with you guys. Happy to come back and do it again. Just let our good friend Julia Hunt know. We'll happily do it. I hope you guys enjoyed the Google imagery, and I know you enjoyed meeting Katie and Jeff. And I'll leave you guys to the rest of your evening. And thank you for the opportunity to show you our wines.
Larry,
thank you so much, Larry.
Pleasure.
See you soon.
See you soon. All right, everybody. Well, gosh, can we get a better show?
Well, I'm not really sure if you could. You need to write me.
I don't even know. I don't even know if I could go, hey, Julia, I need a better show. I don't know if I can do that. I mean, we got wines that you can't get from anybody else, unless you go to the winery and then ship it back. And we're talking small quantities, so I don't have a lot of it. Then we're talking, you get an advanced som in Liz, who is so knowledgeable and so
can
amazing.
Describe anything.
And her descriptions of the wine. If you're sitting here tonight going, I'm not sure if I like it, go back. Yeah. You can watch the show. It's on. You go back, listen to her. She describes it absolutely perfectly. Yeah. And then you get Larry on the show, and Larry's like, boom, boom, boom. I got he got all these people to be able to help him out. And he doesn't need the help. He didn't need the help. But you have these amazing people.
He brought them with him anyway.
To be able to share this amazing experience. And I'm telling you, and knowing, because we've done this before, one more clip. Dry mouth. Yes, if you guys are going out to California, let us know. Let me let Chuck know. Let me let Julia know. Because gladly, Larry or even Liz will love to be able to.
We'll see, to do whatever we possibly can.
Whatever we possibly can, even if it's just getting a reservation or getting you on property and things like that. I know sometimes that's even that's the hard part, right? Yeah. Of going, hey, some of these wineries are super reservate. You have to have a reservation in order to get on. So even if it's just helping you guys get a reservation, please let us know, and we'll pass it along so that you can do that. This was a complete 1 year in and have a show like this. Just incredible.
Well, I'm so glad that I can be a part of it. I know you couldn't make it. I was just like, I will go.
He's like, well, I'm going to drink these wines.
And the funny thing is, I didn't really have to, obviously I didn't have to do anything except sit here and drink and enjoy and talk to these people a little bit. And what a great experience. And I've been able to speak with these folks in the past, and they really are so dedicated to what they do. And they don't enjoy the wines because they're trying to sell it. Yeah. They enjoy the wines because the wines they represent are so good. Yeah. And you can hear it, you can see it. And then when you taste the wines, you can taste it also.
I mean, you can see that, you can feel that from Jeff when Jeff was talking. Like this is a passion for him. This is his life since 1991.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. Since 1991.
And he means it.
And he's walking down the street, and all of a sudden the chef's like, hey, like yelling at him.
Yes.
Like, and so you sit there and go, man, that's incredible. You know, that the chef's yelling at him. Let's do a quick recap of what we drank tonight. I'll put them up on here, so the pricing. Obviously, everything's available at theloadedgrape.com. If you're in the wine club, remember to use your coupon code. It's Cellar if you're in the Cellar Club, Estate in the Estate Club, or Reserve if you're in the Grand Reserve or Reserve Club. And let's bring these up. So we started off tonight with the Epiphany Roussanne. Great deal for that wine. Amazing deal. You're down to $23 plus your discounts.
Well, and Roussanne is one of those grapes that really does bridge a whole lot of gaps. And because of, and it was true of all three Fess Parker wines, that they really did have that bright acidity to lighten them up a little bit. Because Roussanne can get to be a little bit on the heavy side sometimes, but because of that slightly cooler maritime influence, that acidity comes through, and you get the you get the body, but you get that lightness on the back end of it, which I absolutely love. And if you got, and this is one of the things that I love to do when I'm having folks over, I love to pour a white wine that's got some Chardonnay characteristics, but not Chardonnay, and so it's got the body, it's got the fullness, but it's something different and it's something new. We don't see a whole lot of Roussannes out of there.
No, you don't. And that's the thing. You don't.
Right.
If we were talking about the Rhone, then fine.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about the Rhone. We're talking about California and Santa Barbara in particular.
Right.
Beautiful, beautiful. And then we're going to get to probably, as much as I love the Roussanne, this Ashley Santa Rita Rosé, Chardonnay was incredible.
You talk about a wine that you could drink with just about anything. And it really does prove the point that Chardonnay will stand up to pretty much anything you put at it. Yeah. If it's got enough oak and it's got enough body, but once again, it's got that bright acidity on the back end, it's going to go well with so many different foods. But I found that one delightful all by itself.
Just by itself.
Absolutely delicious.
Yeah. And with the warmer temperatures coming up, I could just imagine just sitting out there.
Oh, on the porch. On the back deck,
and again, we're not talking about this. Buy this and throw it in the throw it in the closet for a little bit, in a nice cool place. And Mother's Day or even coming up. That's a great gift for mom. I'll tell you right now, mom's going to love this Chardonnay.
Well, and I thought that Liz hit on it really, really well. Don't serve it too cold.
Yeah.
Because you want the wine to express itself. And that's one of those wines that really does express itself better at that 45 to 50 degree temperature, as opposed to that 34 to 38 degree temperature, as I love to call the American infatuation with refrigeration. That, if it's supposed to be cold, we want it frozen pretty much, but not that one. You don't want it that way.
And full disclosure, the white wines were only in the fridge for an hour.
Oh, they were perfect.
And then we took them out, and that was obviously out for about 15, 20 minutes before we drank it. So we really got the beautiful bouquet, the beautiful texture, everything. So just an amazing wine. I know some people will look and go, 32. If you're getting the discount, even if you're not getting the discount, this is a steal of a deal, because you're not going to get this unless you're at the winery, and then you have to ship it. Again, I'm only looking at 24 bottles. That's all we're looking at. I don't have, it's not like, I got plethoras of this. I can get it in all the time. No, that's it. 24, done. That's what the beauty of this show is that everything that we're talking about is super limited in what, even American Premium Beverage even got. And most of it was because Julia called everybody 2 months ago and said, hey,
she went to the winery directly and just said, I love it. We need some. And we got it.
And they got it.
And we're one of the very few distributors who got these Fess Parker wines in the entire country. So
it's crazy.
And
then we're talking about the Syrah, and the Syrah is probably the sleeper of the night.
Because as you were saying, we don't tend to think of Syrah out of California nearly enough. Of course, we'll get to that with the Zinfandel with Hartford, but nevertheless, we don't think of Syrah out of California nearly enough. And I just thought it hit on every single area that you want Syrah to hit on.
Yeah.
And once again, it didn't go heavy. It didn't go flabby.
Nope.
It just had enough spice to it that it made it interesting, but not that bite on the back end of it. And once again,
not heavy
and true of all three of the Fess Parker wines, will age really, really well.
So if you're looking for an ageable bottle, I would say, I mean, we're looking at on the Syrah. It's a 2015, which if we had Liz on the show right now, she'll tell you, she'll go 2015, great growing season in California. So therefore, again, and since I don't think we had a good growing season since 2015 in California. So you're looking at probably it could be a couple more years before we get a great, be able to have a wine like that coming out of California. So totally grab that. Then we went to the Cambria Pinot Noir from Santa Maria Valley, and this is just so special. Great fruit. In that cherry, little bit of like not quite macerated cherry, but just a dark cherry.
Well,
notes.
it just had that touch of earthiness to it also. And I didn't want to say this while they were on because they would have thought I was blowing smoke, but I really do mean this. I had friends over a couple of weeks ago, and they were at my home. We were able to be outside a great deal of the time and all of this. And we drank that wine all day long. And they were there breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And of course, my friends and I, we drink at breakfast as well. And so we drank that wine all day long, and it went with everything we had. Breakfast was quite a bit of breakfast meat choices. Yeah. And I baked corn muffins, and we just had a really good time with that. And then lunch, it was a 3-cheese grilled cheese with roasted potatoes and asparagus. And so the wine went great. And then we finished the day with Sunday gravy. And if you don't know what Sunday gravy is, basically it is Marzano tomatoes with San Marzano tomatoes with all kinds of meats that you put into the tomato sauce, and you cook it all day long. And then you pull the meats out. Then you cook some pasta. You put the sauce into the pasta, and then you serve the meats all around the pasta. And that Pinot Noir went with that perfectly because of that little touch of earthiness, the earthiness in the meat, the tomato sauce on the pasta. Boy, it was so good. It was the all day kind of wine, and we didn't drink anything else all day.
And acid cuts acid.
Yeah.
So that's, I mean, that's probably in the meat and the potato sauce. Yeah. It was cut. It's a beautiful wine. And at 28, some of you guys are just under 25 with your club discount if you're in the reserve club. Just amazing. And then, holy moly, the big bad boy daddy of the night. I'm telling you right now, this Byron Pinot Noir. Again, we're only talking about 24 bottles available. We're not a big amount. You say, hey, Dan, I got to stretch your wine budget this bottle, because one, you're probably not going to get another one of them unless maybe you luck out by getting to the vineyard early. I mean, we're only talking about 200, less than 200 cases. Yeah. Less than 200 cases. So if you're not in their wine club, you're probably not even going to be able to taste it. And so that to myself, listen, it's the bottle to get. It drinks bigger and stronger. I mean, we were kind of doing the stronger thing in a sense. It doesn't almost drink like a Pinot. It almost. I'm trying to think of what it drinks like, but it's a little bit bigger than a Pinot. It
was big up front. It had ripeness to it.
Yeah.
That was really loaded up front, without being juicy or jammy. It just had this beautiful fruit flavor up front. And with Pinot Noir, we are talking about cherries, but it was like a beautiful ripe black cherry up on the front. And then all of a sudden, it got to this mid palate that just expanded way across the middle. And then once again, that lovely Southern California acidity, because as they kept on talking about those east to west mountain ranges, they let in all that cool Pacific air. And so they're able to cool down at night. And so the acidity really sets in those grapes a great deal. And so once again, and unusual for Pinot Noir, we've got a Pinot Noir that's going to age extremely well.
Yes.
Yeah, it absolutely delicious. The Cambria has that, let's drink it today. This is your good everyday kind of drinker. The Byron Fiddlesticks, it had that kind of, well, let's save this for that special occasion. Yeah. And when I say special occasion, I mean when you actually open it. And, that's a special occasion.
That's a special occasion. That is a total special occasion.
But nevertheless, it just had that bigger, bolder, riper aspect to it.
And you say ageable. I definitely say that's ageable.
Oh, yeah.
We're looking at, on that one, it's a 20, let me pull this up here. 2016.
See,
And
it's still got
I think
tons of
I
life.
think tons of life,
yeah.
tons of life. I think you can lay that down for at least 10 and enjoy that. And then lastly, again, Jeff
I'm sorry,
joining
did you have
us.
some more of that?
I do have more.
Excellent. I thought you did.
Yeah, I will definitely give you a skosh more of that. There
Beautiful.
you go.
Thank you.
And I will take a skosh more of that too.
Because
this
this
is-
is what
this-
a lovely way to finish
What would
the tasting, and with Jeff Stewart, who is such a great guy.
Yeah.
And you could tell. Well, first of all, he's just the king of wherever he walks.
Yeah.
And I love that. And Hartford Winery is extremely special. I visited there about 12 or 13 years ago, and it does sit just on the north side of the Russian River, and they really are known for their Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. But these Zinfandels that they make are just incredible, and you don't taste other Zinfandels like them. And what I found about what Jeff said was so very true: brightness and intensity. I found those two words to be absolutely key to this wine, and because that's what it's kind of about. You don't get that lush, jammy, juicy fruitiness that you get out of the, it's talking some about Amador, but certainly about Lodi fruit, that you just don't get that. You get this classy, sophisticated quality, and you get what old vine is all about. You can smell the depth and the darkness in it. And when I loved it when they showed the vineyard views, because the vines, you can tell they don't trellis them. They're just allowed to grow on these relatively short but really big stumps of woody material.
And we're talking gnarly. We're almost talking like apple tree gnarly.
Yeah,
it's apple tree gnarly.
And so
cool.
the low yield that they get, and yet the intensity of the flavor. And the fact you can get it for this price, I mean, it just, I don't know. How do they do it? It's not volume, because I can tell you they don't make it. Yeah.
We're talking over 100-year-old vines. Mm-hmm. So, in a sense, I look at that's ancient vine, right? I think that everybody goes old vine. No, that's ancient. I think they should go, hey, if it's over 100, it's ancient year vine. And I think that would allow them, the people to go, what's the difference between ancient and old? Well, old is 50. Ancient's over 100. I think that's okay to say. And I think that's what needs to happen in the wine business. If Jeff was on here right now, I'd be like, dude, would you be okay with saying that this is ancient Zin versus old vine Zin at 50 years old? And he'd probably say, man, I think you're onto something.
It's just the only thing I worry about. You say ancient, and it's going to be a bottle of dust.
A bottle of dust. And that's the thing, because you're like, well, what makes it ancient? Like, it's over 100 years. Because anything really at that 50, that's old vine. So
but nothing's controlled.
But nothing's controlled.
And so, you could say it's old vine, and it could be 4 years old, but it's the oldest vine that we've got. And so when you actually get to taste a Zinfandel from truly old vines, the difference is there in the glass, and yet it's still a lively wine. Yeah. It doesn't taste old, because there is this intensity to these grapes that comes across in the glass, out of the bottle, every single time. Just delightful.
Such a delightful wine. Folks, all these wines are super limited. They're over at theloadedgrape.com. Don't be afraid to put these in your cart. Buy one extra, because if you're going to absolutely love it, you're going to want one extra. And here's the thing. Come after Friday, I might not be able to get any of these anymore, because they're going to start going to other accounts. This is it. This is your opportunity to get this.
Yeah.
This is very special for the Loaded Grape right now. So if it sells out, it only went to the Loaded Grape. That's it. If there's something else extra, they might take it to another account or two, and that's it. So don't sleep on this. Also, this is one where I'll tell you, when you come back to me, after you drank that one bottle and go, hey, can I get more? I'm probably going to say, no, this is a one-time deal. That's what we did the show for.
Which is the worst kind of buyer's remorse.
I know
ever.
it's the worst kind, but I hate that. I feel like a used carsman saying, like, you gotta buy now. But this is literally the truth. You gotta buy now, because I will tell you right now, some of this stuff, I'm giving you guys first opportunity on my Friday order. I'm going to be buying some bottles for myself if it doesn't sell out. So that's the truth, because I'm not going to let the Zin go any further if I can't help it. I'm not going to let the Byron go away if I can't help it. But that's it. I mean, there's any of these. The fact of the matter is that it's super limited. And heck, you even saw Katie's face when I mentioned the price.
Yeah, she was like,
don't look at that. I don't hear it. I don't see it. So that the Loaded Grape gives you the best value, even when it comes from going through a distributor coming to us. I'm telling you, and you're getting your club discounts on top of it. So thank you for spending your evening with us. Thank you for watching. Again, next week we'll be back with a special 1-year anniversary show. We're actually doing it in the shop. I'm going to draw winners tomorrow. Facebook Live it really quick and then let those people know. So you'll be part of the studio audience, which will be really cool.
I'll put my name in 500 times.
Yep. Definitely do that.
Yeah.
Yep. And so and then so we'll have that show next Monday night, and then the week after that, Marietta Well. We have the winemaker and wine owner from Marietta Cellars. Sorry, I said Marietta Well. Marietta Cellars joining us. So the owner winemaker joining us. So again, we get getting somms, we're getting winery reps, so it's really cool where we're going with the show after a year. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful night. Look forward to seeing you at the Loaded Grape. And as we normally end all the shows, keep on tasting.
Oh yeah, don't stop.
Don't stop. Keep on.